Good Sunday morning, folks. As you know, I pretty much have gone live on YouTube on Sunday mornings. And I wanted to share from the heart today, if I may. I've been a prisoner advocate, one of the longest ones in the state of Ohio, since I was released from prison. And I kind of had a change of heart lately. I met a real kind lady. I'm just going to say her first name, Stephanie, you know, who's really shared with me on the trials and the pain. And you could tell by her voice the pain that she went through. She was involved in a horrific crime when she was, I believe it was 10 years old, but she went to the trial at 12. And it affected her whole family. She was only in court with her, I believe, victim advocate, and I think her grandmother showed up. Um, you know, and as I start listening to some of these stories and I see how hard the prisoner advocates have bashed me personally, I no longer want to have part in that. And I'm going to be working on behalf of the victims. That does not mean I don't believe some people should be released from prison. I do. And I believe in second chances, as I was given three chances. But most of mine were misdemeanors, then the felony, that took place. And, you can look up my record if you'd like to. That's your choice. The pain that the victims go through is horrible. It carries throughout life because you'll never forget what happened. You can forgive, which I do believe is important, because then you can start healing as a person. But we can't forget the victims. They did nothing wrong. I've talked to a mother that lost a son to murder, not even gang related. He was just going to the store and was shot. I've seen just in my neighborhood drive-by shootings, people shooting through windows and killing someone. I see the drug dealers destroying our young people by selling dope to them. As being a victim myself, and the pain, it took me many years to forgive. I was in Kairos actually at the time, and that was when I was locked up. And at the end of Kairos, that's a Christian retreat type program, which lasts, I believe, was 3 days and a morning. One of the times, the day before the end, we had to write on a paper people that needed to forgive us and people that we needed to forgive. And I wrote down this person's name, and I wrote it down there. We put it in a big pool, and it dissolved. Some camps, burnt it, but the pool just dissolved it. It was dissolvable paper. At that time I meant to forgive him. Then I took it back. Then I had to write it down on a piece of paper, flush it down the toilet again. And I did that for many months until I actually let go and forgave the guy. And I don't wish any harm on those that are incarcerated. But I think, being a voice for the victim is very important. And I'm not going to stray from it. I'm not going to be as active as I was in the past on anything, but I think being a community advocate, having a conference on May 13th on curbing crime in our communities and reaching our younger people, I think we'll be doing society a favor. I don't care for our governor in Ohio. He thinks one-sided, and we need somebody that is fair, somebody that will look at both sides and decide. But I don't believe the guy that violated my friend Stephanie should ever be released from prison. I've read the documentations. Several victims did not come forward. I think 2 committed suicide. And I think we want a better society for for our younger generation to grow up in. It'd be nice to have a crime-free society. That would never happen. But if we unite with the community and start educating on crime and start educating the incarcerated before they get released, I think we could really do a good job and start working on the change that needs to take place. It saddens me on how the prison advocates came after me and they claim that they're for all people. Well, I can no longer support that because they're the most vicious people around. There's a guy named Fed Time that came directly after me. A person and another person that I really cared about came right after me when that person knew my past. And if that's the case, just shows me that they're the most judgmental people around. I would like to start doing some speaking. I'm going to ask somebody else about doing some speaking between myself and a victim, myself to share that crime's just not worth committing. No matter if it's a sexual crime, if it's robbery, murder, it's not worth committing those crimes. There's consequences for them, and we really have to take a stand on it. I am writing a book with the help of my friend Helen. She's actually doing the writing. I'm just giving some bits and pieces. That is geared towards a prisoner. That it's about addiction somewhat. But I want to try to work with all people involved. I would love to be able to reach the younger generation. And who knows if there'll be a nonprofit that will come out of any of this. If anybody's watching, please share this video. This video is from the heart. And we have to really wake up America. It's not just Ohioans, it's Americans. We have a president right now that has really messed up our country. That nobody knows where he stands on issues, and we need a president that would be firm, a president that will do what they're supposed to do as a president, as the same thing as governor in the state of Ohio and nationwide. I'm not going to change my political affiliation. I've been Republican since the day I could register to vote. My father was very active in the Republican Party, and I believe my whole family is Republican. And one reason is because they have the moral values that you really need, the Christian values. They don't believe in taking prayer out of school. That's really, if you think of it, that is one of the reasons our country is so messed up. You took Pledge of Allegiance out of the school. You took prayer out of the school. The ACLU and those that support the ACLU fought to take God out of everything. They took a lot of the biblical stuff that was stand in front of the state houses. I don't know if it's the Ten Commandments or what it was. Now they're trying to take history away from the state of Ohio. Christopher Columbus. You can't do away with history. That's just history. So I'm going to stand firm with those that were victimized. I do believe that is a very important subject that we cannot just throw under the carpet. And I won't be part of throwing it under the carpet. I'll share my story, my testimony on how God's changed my life. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today. In 2020, I should have died. But when I got to see a glimpse of heaven, and I knew then that really I needed to live for God, but living for God also supports victims, not just incarcerated, but victims as well. So, are we going to start doing what's right? And this is to the advocates, prisoner advocates out there. You know, it's really your fault that people are changing their views on fighting for the incarcerated. You go after people saying you support second chances. Some of you were in for murder. You took a life, but you have the right to judge others. No, you don't. But if you go by biblical principles, even Jesus um, demanded, Jesus is God, but they demanded that there be law and order. There was people that was punished. There was people stoned, for doing what was wrong. Now, I don't believe what the Middle East is doing. They just executed a child. I don't believe you should be executed for blaspheming, and I still don't support the death penalty. But I support law and order. And I also support those coming out of prison that they can change. I have faith in them. But they also have to take the first step. Our number one goal has always been no new crime, no new victims. And prisoner advocates, you're doing a lousy job at that. You don't try to educate those coming out of prison. You just try to free them. That's not the answer, and you're not doing society any favor. So, everybody, I really hope you take time to look at this video. Please share it. Let's unite. Let's support the victims. And let's be a voice on their behalf. Thank you, guys, and God bless you.